This is PB at Night, pbcasttv's hopefully 3-day-a-week show that we try to do. And what we do, we just talk about the latest happenings that have happened today. First of all, I have this brand new microphone, the MXL 990. I hope you can tell a little bit of a difference. And you probably also can see that it's not quite nighttime outside. In fact, it's almost midday. It's 2 o'clock right now. I'm at the PBcast TV studio. But I've got some things to do tonight. I am louder. Yeah, you're right. I might need to... we can adjust that. We're still going through some trials and errors and things like that. But a lot of stuff on the news docket to talk about. And I did want to share one thing with you guys. We're very pleased with the numbers that we're getting, especially on the past couple episodes, including our Gadget Gurus holiday special that we did a couple weeks back. Actually, I guess that was just last week. That's getting some very a large number of views, and we're very pleased. So we thank you for everyone who is watching, and make sure to subscribe on YouTube over at youtube.com/pbcasttv. I'm gonna have to adjust this camera. Nope, wrong way. Anyway, I'm gonna deal with this weekend, hopefully before Tech Weekly, on how to set up the camera. Maybe I'll put it over here. I don't know. But anyway, the big story today is NASA was supposed to make an announcement about the discoveries that they made, and a lot of people were throwing around that it could be alternative life forms and things like that, extraterrestrial life forms, because that was really the headline and what they were kind of teasing. And it was, of course, not extraterrestrial life forms. As a matter of fact, it wasn't near as big as a lot of people expected, but it actually is very big. So they found arsenic-feeding bacteria, which they're saying the finding of these expands the traditional notions of life. So this happened in Washington. This is a CNN article here. It will be linked to in the show notes, as always, pbcasttv.com. Scientists have discovered a form of bacteria that can thrive largely in arsenic, an element generally considered toxic, dramatically expanding but both traditional notions of how life is sustained and range might have been found in the universe. NASA-funded researchers announced Thursday that life as we know requires chemical elements and excludes others. Arizona State researcher suggested in a news release, but those are not our only options. How could there be different life? And they actually found this bacteria that can actually live in very low oxygen levels, and it actually thrives in an element that has almost always been considered very toxic. We've had arson. Every time you talk about like arsenic and things like that, it's usually with bioterrorism. We had that back in 2001. On a couple of years ago, that people were putting those in whatever. That was actually the main ingredient in those things that they were sending through the post office. So that's kind of interesting. But this is pretty big. So they're saying our guess is that astrobiological discovery will have something to do with water, evolutionary biology, and aquatic bacteria, said geek tech bloggers at PC World. That was kind of some people predicting, but on Twitter people were throwing around, hey, maybe it's aliens. Of course it was not aliens, but it is still a big discovery, and hopefully more will come in the future. So that is very cool. We will be linking off to a couple articles in the show notes over at pbcasttv.com. I think you guys know the drill. Our next topic, we got 2 sports things on, and we're going to do these PB at Night Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, maybe Friday if we have time. But Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday are our set days now. And on Monday it's going to be kind of a give or take, because we do have Gadget Gurus, so we'll just get in here right after Gadget Gurus and do this show. And once again, this show is usually a shorter show. It's usually about 10 to 15 minutes, because we only go through the day's news, not the week. So our next topic, the next 2 topics are actually dealing with sports. So yesterday, since we didn't do a show, some very big news came out of the SEC and also the NCAA. So Auburn quarterback Cam Newton, who he and his family, and also Mississippi State and the Auburn University, and Jay Jacobs and a bunch of other people down there had been under investigation by the FBI, the NCAA, an ongoing investigation that for the pay-to-play scandal, which was something. In fact, Cam Newton's dad, Cecil Newton, was actually shopping his son around. And at first, Cam Newton had actually committed to Mississippi State, another SEC school, but later decommitted from Mississippi State and went to Auburn. And people were throwing around rumors that Cecil Newton, Cam Newton's father, had stated multiple times that the money just was not right for Cam Newton to go to Mississippi State, which kind of brought on a pay-to-play scandal. I don't know if you know about what Reggie Bush did, but what was really happening is his parents were getting inadequate funds, was not deserved, and was actually against NCAA regulations, because anything that is paid from a booster or a school official to a parent, legal guardian, or a player is, of course, against the law or against the rules of the NCAA. And this ongoing investigation, including an investigation into Mississippi State actually reported this situation in July, but the SEC did not take further action. He later decommitted from Mississippi State. Well, yesterday, Cam Newton was found eligible to play in the SEC championship against South Carolina after being named ineligible by Auburn and their athletics program, and that was actually due to an NCAA rules violation, because Tuesday, Auburn was informed that Cam Newton's father was guilty of the pay-to-play scandal, which meant that Auburn could be under a rules violation, and so they benched him. Well, now he has been cleared to play by the NCAA. The investigation is not over, and in fact, Cam Newton's father, Cecil Newton, was proven guilty, or has been found guilty, of shopping his son around. There's still things to come out about this. A lot of the people in USC, Southern California, and around the nation have been kind of throwing around, hey, well, Cam Newton was got out really, really well off, because it took the NCAA about 4 to 5 years to figure out what Reggie Bush had done, and it ended up that in Reggie Bush's situation that he returned the Heisman Trophy and also was proven guilty. And USC is now serving a 5-year to 6-year suspension, or not suspension, what are we looking for here? Not suspension, but under probation because of that. And our final story on the news docket today is they drew for the 2022 World Cup. Now, they do these in advance, and once again, the World Cup only happens every 4 years. And the U.S. was actually in the running for this, as they have been the last few times. And from most accounts, the U.S. had the most attractive bid to host the 2022 World Cup. They had an existing infrastructure of stadiums with huge capacities, including a new state-of-the-art stadium in Dallas and in New Jersey. Smaller Major League Soccer stadiums around the country, for visiting teams to train in. They also had the most lucrative projections for ticket and media rights. They had an estimated $1 billion in projected sponsorship funds. That they had a demonstrated track record in putting on a successful World Cup tournament in '94, as well as the Olympics in 1994, and a steadily growing audience of soccer, both foreign and domestic. And today, Qatar got the nod instead of the U.S., and a lot of people are saying, well, they're going to have to use funds that are going to be from not only nationally funded organizations, but also from FIFA and things like that, because they do not have an existing infrastructure, and a lot of people were up in arms because the U.S. did not get it. There's some things saying why the U.S. did not get it, but everything was, there's so many positives that outweighed the negatives. The U.S. has never been hesitant to host things like this. They would never be hesitant to spend the money to host these like this because most of it comes back in revenue, either through ticket sales and also lodging and things like that. So the U.S. not getting the nod here. Now, one more story. Comcast was supposedly limiting earlier this week. I know some of these stories are not from today, but since we did not do this yesterday, which is my apologies, or sorry, Tuesday, it's my apologies. So Comcast was essentially limiting L3, which is a content provider. And if you use the internet, you probably get some of your content from L3. They distribute things like Netflix, Hulu, all kinds of things. They serve those up. And they actually use Comcast as one of their main outputs through their server farm. They provide the bandwidth. And they had signed a contract saying that they would only use a certain amount of bandwidth each month, and it turns out that they were using more than that, and Comcast had not really done anything about it until earlier this week, which was the end of November, and they actually started blocking them, some of their pipes out. They do have other ISPs, but one of their main ISP lines from Comcast was capped, which meant that some of your Hulu and also Netflix streaming services were not being served up. They also serve up some things for ESPN. So there was a lot of big-name companies that were kind of left in the blue because of this. And and a lot of people were throwing around, well, is this net neutrality? And it turns out that we actually do not have net neutrality whatsoever. We just have a bunch of contracts that people are just simply obeying. Comcast could shut them down any time saying, you pay for business class internet, yes, but you're serving up way too much data and all this thing, and you're making funds off the internet that we provide you, and essentially that's what we're doing here. If we get sponsors and things, we're making funds off them. So that's very interesting, and we'll kind of track that as the day goes along, and also the days goes along. So that pretty much does it for this episode of PB at Night. Once again, not at night at all. 2:17 here in the South, Central Time, whatever you want to call it. I'd love to hear you guys' comments on YouTube or on our on pbcasttv.com about the new microphone, how it sounds. I'm pretty impressed. My other microphone required a lot of, I had to bring the gain up more than halfway. A lot of times I would have the slider all the way up, which is way past unity, which is not good for digital recording and things like that. So we did get some distortion. I also have this windscreen here, which is made just for the MXL 990, so it sounds much better, and I don't have the pop that I did with the Sterling Audio. Nothing against Sterling Audio. I have just always wanted this microphone, and I let somebody else talk me into getting the other microphone, so really my mistake. If you like our content, you can please subscribe on YouTube over at youtube.com/pbcasttv. That is where you will automatically be notified when we make a new video. You can get email subscriptions, things like that. Also, follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/pbcasttv, and also follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/batnickjones. And guys, like us on Facebook. I know Carlo in the chat room here, yeah, he likes us on Facebook. Yeah, it is night for Carlo. Carlo is in England, so, hey, it's always night somewhere, I guess you could say. So anyway, so that is pretty much it. And until, let's see, we may do a show. I may do a show on Saturday, not Friday. I might do one tomorrow afternoon because I don't have to go to school because of the championship game tonight. So until next time, guys, I'm Nick Jones. Hope to see you soon. Goodbye.